Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and this is not a drill. According to multiple sources right now, both the Commanders and Jets are pursuing wide receiver Davante Adams after a trade request that came from the Raiders today. Should the Washington Commanders do it, or should we not? We're going to take a look at this from every angle possible, but before we do, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content, man. I really appreciate y'all for supporting the channel, pulling up to every video, leaving likes, and of course, go become a channel member, because if you're not, you will not be able to have access to those exclusive videos and film sessions that I've been doing throughout the week. So make sure you pull up for those, and make sure you stay tuned for all of the videos. I'm doing like 2-3 videos a day, so make sure you stay tuned. Without further ado, instead of wasting more of y'all time, let's go and get to it, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so I immediately saw Ian Rappaport tweet at, what are we looking at, 4:13 p.m. Raiders star wide receiver Davante Adams informed the team that he preferred to be traded per me and Mike Garafolo. There's nothing imminent, but a situation to watch for sure. Just to let you know, too, like, Davante Adams stats-wise with the Raiders, because I'm pretty sure he's gone. I don't really see him even playing anymore. Like, even if he's not traded before next week, which, I mean, I could see him being traded before the next game, whoever the Raiders play, but I just don't even see him going out there to play. He's not giving it his all anyway. He's basically boycotting the team while being on the team. I don't really see him playing. Like, I think under these circumstances, he may not even play next week. Maybe he would, who knows? But as of right now, in 37 games, he has 221 catches, 2,869 yards, a 77.5 yards per game, 13 YPR, and 23 touchdowns to add to that. And that's just with the Raiders alone. That's not even including the Packers. And then we saw an update from U Stadium that the Jets and the Commanders are two teams that will be in on Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams. And then that's when this thing really kick-started, because at first I saw, I was already working on the video. I was getting my stats together and everything, and I was like, should the Washington Commanders go ahead and trade for him? Should we not? And things like that. Then suddenly the Jets and the Commanders are thrown out there to the forefront of the whole situation. And before we even dive into whether or not the Commanders should just go ahead and get him, let's just talk about how good he is first. Like, why are we even in this situation where we care? Well, first of all, according to Pro Football Focus, going all the way back to, say, 2020, he had a 92.2 overall grade. 2021, a 92.7 overall grade. Those were both with the Green Bay Packers. Then he goes to the Raiders with Derek Carr as his quarterback and has a 90.1 overall grade. And that wasn't even like a great season from Derek Carr. That was just Davante Adams just going crazy and doing his typical self. And then 2023, the grade dips to a 79, which was his lowest grade since 2016. And you could just tell, similar to this season, he was just frustrated. But then this season, it seems like he's not even trying, dog. In the 2024 season so far through 4 games, he has a 64.4 overall grade, a 65.9 receiving grade, and how about a 55.9 drop grade? Like, this guy's not even concentrating. He doesn't care. He's just going through the motions. And you can kind of see why, like, you know what I'm saying? You can kind of give him a little bit of grace for the quarterbacks he's had to deal with recently. It hasn't been pretty. Ever since he left Aaron Rodgers, who was a great quarterback, a future Hall of Fame quarterback, he left him, I think it was just to pursue more money. He was like, man, I'm a great receiver. I guess I don't really need a great quarterback to produce. I'm just going to go for the big money, because the Packers didn't want to give him big money. The Raiders were willing to do so. Well, now, a year and 4 weeks in, he's realizing, wait a minute, I kind of do need a great quarterback. I like the money that I'm making, but I'm not having fun playing this sport right now. In 2022, when he first got there, he had Derek Carr as his starting quarterback for 15 weeks, and Jarrett Stidham for 2, because I think Derek Carr got hurt or something like that. 2023, it was Aiden O'Connell for 10 games, Jimmy Garoppolo for 6, and Brian Hoyer for 1. And then you have Gardner Minshew so far as your quarterback 4 games into 2024. My, how the grass is not always greener on the other side, Davante Adams. And I do want to point out the fact that Davante, and my main point really is that, yeah, his Pro Football Focus grades have plummeted since he's gone to the Raiders. His stats have plummeted as well compared to like his efficiency numbers and what he was doing for the Packers. But I feel like quarterback plays a large role in that. You could be the best wide receiver of all time. If your quarterback sucks, it doesn't matter. But I also want to point out the fact that Davante Adams is currently 31 years old, but he'll be 32 before the end of the season. But he was born like the day before Christmas or something like that. And I know that sounds like he's up there in age, but I do want to point out the fact, especially for us Commanders fans, Terry McLaurin is 29. Even though it feels like he may seem way younger than Davante Adams, he's only 2 years and a few months younger than Davante Adams. And even beyond that, he has the type of game and type, like the way that he plays football, that isn't predicated on like natural athleticism and how like youthful and where his age is. Like just like how Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant, you know, their game isn't necessarily predicated upon like athleticism. Athleticism helps, you know what I'm saying? But their games age well because of the way that they play their sports. Davante Adams, similar. He still is arguably the best route runner in the NFL. I mean, he was literally the best route runner in the NFL for at least a couple of years running, and that wasn't even that long ago. I doubt he just fell off the face of the earth where that comes to that. And that specialty, that specific type of skill set would allow him to play at a very high level for, I feel like, at least another 4 or 5 years, in my opinion, as a floor. And don't pay attention to what he's been doing the past couple of years. I promise you, it's not his age. It's more of a quarterback thing, and it's also more so a lack of trying and caring, because he's just sick and tired of his quarterback situation, his overall team situation. He's really not even trying out there. That man is jogging. I don't know if y'all saw it just a few days ago, last week or something like that, but after a Raiders game sometime this season, either it was the most recent one or the one before that, Antonio Pierce said something very cryptic in one of his press conferences. He said something to the extent of like, some players aren't giving it their all, and you don't even have to worry about, you know, to the guys that aren't even, you know, giving it their all, don't even worry about giving it your all anymore. Don't even worry about playing. How about that type of thing? Like, you seem like you don't want to play anyway, so don't worry about playing. And I was thinking, okay, I'm just going to assume that's at Davante Adams, even though he didn't want to throw his name out there under the bus, because I mean, I guess we didn't really foresee, or they didn't foresee this trade thing picking up as quickly as it did out of nowhere on a Tuesday afternoon. But I mean, he clearly could have just called out Davante Adams right there. But Antonio Pierce, being professional, I respect it. That's the way the head coach is supposed to go about that. But he could have kept it at that while and just went ahead and said, Davante Adams, I'm looking at you. You know what I'm saying? And now you have Davante Adams news now saying that the Raiders are making him available. That was earlier today. And then just a few hours later, the report came out that he just straight up requested a trade. And to me, that sounds like a situation where like the boss pulls up to the employee about not giving it his all at work, not performing well, not being productive, because the employee hates his job. And so then the boss threatens to fire the employee, and then the employee replies back, don't even worry about firing me, man. How about I just quit? You know what I'm saying? I don't even want to be here anyway. I quit. Yeah, I'm available for trades. How about I requested one? How about that? I'll do that. Matter of fact, next time I'll just say I demand one. How about, I'm surprised it isn't a demand. I don't even know why we're at a stage where it's a request. I'm shocked it's not a demand, because I know Davante Adams doesn't want to play another game in that Raiders jersey. I don't think the Raiders want him to play another game in their jersey. But again, my main point is 32 years old is not that old for a receiver, especially for one that wins with nuance and hard-earned skill, that like refined skill that he put in countless hours to acquire, rather than just natural God-given talent and athleticism. So please don't look at these past couple of years and watch those games and assume that's who he is right now. I firmly, personally believe that he is closer to his 2022 self right now if he applies himself, and if he's in a good enough situation where he feels like he should, than his 2024 current self that you've been seeing recently. You just got to give him a quarterback and a team that will make him care enough to play more so like that 2022 version of himself and before and prior. At the end of the day though, man, I can see why some Commanders fans may not even want to have anything to do with the guy, man. First of all, just from that already, just that alone, perfectly understand why some Commanders fans want to stay away from him as far as possible. I mean, that definitely feels diva-ish for sure. Like, especially when you think about the fact that Terry McLaurin has caught passes from 11 different quarterbacks, I believe, before Jayden Daniels. Either Jayden Daniels is the 11th or Jayden Daniels is the 12th. Either way, while Davante Adams over there has only caught passes from seven different quarterbacks maximum. Maybe 8 because of like Jordan Love filling in for injury, maybe 8. And a couple of them, again, I want to point out the fact that a few of those were because of injuries to the real starting quarterback that they had. They had a franchise quarterback or at least a decent starting quarterback, and he's caught passes from other quarterbacks because the initial quarterback got hurt. No, not Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin was catching passes from different quarterbacks due to straight up sorriness. Quarterbacks getting benched, getting cut, getting traded, whatever. Like, Terry McLaurin's been in a way worse situation than Davante Adams quarterback wise. And then on top of that, you've never heard Terry McLaurin complain once out loud, let alone not give it his all in any actual real regular season games like Davante Adams has been doing, especially this year. So I perfectly understand why a lot of people want nothing to deal with him just because of the divish attitude, where you see Terry McLaurin in a way worse situation these past few years, really their entire careers. I mean, at least Davante Adams had years with Aaron Rodgers. Terry McLaurin has had 4 games with Jayden Daniels. So I don't want to hear it, Davante. I understand your situation is ugly, but Terry McLaurin has never complained, never pouted, nothing, and had a way worse situation than you. So again, I can see why some Commanders fans are like, look at Terry. We don't want to bring in a guy that doesn't have the same exact attitude as Terry. And then to make it even worse, this is also the same guy, if you remember, that he said that the Commanders are not only a trash team, he said that the fan base is like depressed or miserable, and the city of DC itself, like the entire city, is bad as well. And I know a random DC civilian that has nothing to do with the Commanders at all, like doesn't even root for them, saw that clip and was, you probably imitating the 50 Cent meme. Like, what'd he say that to me for? Like, I know a random librarian from DC that doesn't even know what pass interference means is looking around like, what'd I do? Why DC gotta suck, man? Just because the Commanders? Just because of whatever they did to you? But just to let you know, his exact words were, he went on Hot Ones, and they were just running through teams. They got to DC, and for some reason, the host didn't even like try to bait him into this. He did this under his own fruition. Like, he just completely went ahead and put this out there unprovoked. He said they're obviously just miserable because the stadium is horrible, the city is not great at all, and that's just how I feel. I mean, that's literally his exact quote. I don't know what we did to him. I really don't. So I know that doesn't help Commanders fans want him at all either. On top of being a diva, wanting a lot of money, and then that, I mean, age, diva attitude, money, and he hates the city of DC, like just the entire city, which is crazy. But I find it funny that like, even as somebody like me from Atlanta, man, I'm just not getting what made him say that. He must have based his opinion just purely off of how, like, football wise, maybe dealing with the fans on the internet, how he interacts with fans at the stadium when he plays us or things like that. When we've played Green Bay and we've beat them a couple of times, maybe he's sour about that, because we have had Green Bay's number even when they had Aaron Rodgers the past few times. Even when we sucked, we would just somehow find a way to beat Green Bay for some reason. So maybe he's just sour about that. I don't know, because I'm just not understanding how you can say DC sucks as a city at all. I don't get it. That's crazy to me, even coming from somebody that's not from DC. Like, even if you do keep it just football, how the Commanders look compared to the Raiders right now, if anything, you and your Raiders look miserable, horrible, and not great at all, to use your own words back at you. You know what I'm saying? So this whole situation is crazy. I bet you prefer to be with Jayden Daniels over any quarterback that's thrown you the ball in the past few years at least. And I'm not gonna lie. With the way that this thing has started, with this offense, Cliff Kingsbury, Jayden Daniels, and all of this, we may be able to turn that, you know, the last few years into ever. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not going to get ahead of myself just 4 weeks in, but remember this clip. Just remember this clip. Jayden is on the way to being one of the greats, dog. I really feel that way. And I know everybody around the league is seeing it. And if even the national media that doing a complete 180, going from completely ignoring us and acting like we don't even exist in the NFL, like it's only 31 teams, to doing all of this loving over us the past couple of weeks. They can't even stop talking about us. I know the players are seeing it as well, and most importantly for this video, I know Davante is too. I know he regrets what he said. I'm pretty sure he would prefer to be with us than the Raiders at the very least. Even if we're not at the top of his list, we got to be higher than where he currently is with the Raiders. And so then later on, per ESPN, it was reported that the Raiders are looking for at least a second-round pick plus additional compensation in a package for Davante Adams. They're trying to build for the future. I mean, they missed out on Jayden Daniels, who we have. I think they were willing to trade 3 first-round picks or something for him. They clearly want a quarterback. And it sucks because, like, if they do find that quarterback in the next draft, they're potentially not going to have the wide receiver that they would want the quarterback to have, because the wide receiver wants the quarterback. And that's just going to be like a perpetual situation that I know the Commanders have dealt with for a while. I'm glad it seems like we're out of it. That's just I really feel bad for the Raiders. They wanted Jayden Daniels bad. They knew that Jayden Daniels would be this great, or at least they thought that he would be somewhat this great, just like the Commanders did, because that's why instead of taking 3 first-round picks, we stood there to take them. I'm happy we did. But then shouts out to Matt Miller for this one. He said the Bears and the Bills both currently own multiple 2025 second-round picks. Can't imagine Chicago would get involved, but Buffalo, however, would be fun. But they'd have to get very cap creative, which is interesting because the Commanders have some cap space, man. We'll get there, though. So even though the Commanders have the best offense in the NFL statistically right now, and that's not even an argument to be made, and also some extra draft capital, I feel like the Bills, just more so based off of the past few years, not necessarily what's been happening this year specifically, are more so seen as like the bigger Super Bowl contenders than us right now, especially in the eyes of somebody like Davante Adams, who doesn't even like DC as a city. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just assuming that he'll probably end up with the Bills, honestly, but who knows? Because again, the report is the Jets and the Commanders. And if I'm Davante Adams, I'm looking between those two teams. I think I'd jump on the higher trajectory, the positive trajectory right now of the Commanders, where we're only getting better and better and better, and the Jets look pretty miserable right now, but who knows? And yes, I know the tweet that Matt Miller had said the Bears and the Bills. I'm just completely skipping over the Bills on purpose, like they just didn't exist. Because first of all, they already spent a lot of capital on putting together what was supposed to be the best wide receiver core in the NFL, what was supposed to be, as said by a lot of the national media and even Bears fans themselves, a better situation than Jayden Daniels was going to land into. What happened to that? But either way, why would Davante want to be a part of an already too crowded, star-studded room like that? Too many chefs in the kitchen type of situation. And then even from the Bears side of things, looking at Davante Adams, after they went and got Keenan Allen and drafted Rome Odunze in the first round, y'all are going to go send the Raiders a second plus more instead of just putting every resource you have in towards fixing that offensive line for Caleb Williams so he can go out there and ball out. I just don't see that making any sense. And then second, ain't no way Davante, especially at this point, I mean, like if you're looking around, wants to go over there with where Caleb Williams is right now. And I still believe Caleb Williams will eventually figure it out and become a really good quarterback. But dog, why would Davante leave the Raiders' terrible quarterback situation to go to an upstart that the Bears have right now, to anything that doesn't already have an established quarterback playing at an elite level? Again, I think Caleb Williams may eventually get there one day, but he's not there right now. Check out this stat. Caleb Williams has completed 5 of 31 passes that have traveled 15 plus air yards in 2024. And he has a league high 55% off target rate on such throws. The average is 25%. So like even when you isolate Caleb Williams from the offensive line, from the receivers, when you just put him on an island, he's still been pretty bad this season so far. And before week 4, to compare him to Jayden Daniels, look at this stat. Caleb Williams on pass attempts with no pressures. 85 attempts to Jayden Daniels' 60 attempts. 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions to Jayden Daniels' 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And then a passer rating of 74.2 to Jayden Daniels' 103.6, and a completion percentage of 68.2 to Jayden Daniels' 86.7. Again, these are pass attempts with no pressure. So when even the offensive line actually is doing their job, Caleb Williams has still not been very good, and for certain not as good as Jayden Daniels. Really not even close, to be completely honest with you. So yeah, The Bears O-line is sorry, but Caleb isn't playing well either. Now, he is improving. Week 4 Caleb Williams is way better. I would even say drastically better than Week 1 Caleb Williams. But that's not something Davante Adams wants to hear right now. Yeah, come to our team, Davante Adams. We're improving. And the Jets don't look much better. And he already left that quarterback before in Aaron Rodgers when he was at the top of his game. Is he going to double back on his old little boot thing after Aaron Rodgers isn't as good as he was when he used to play with Aaron Rodgers and left him? I just highly doubt it. So I don't think I would say the Jets and Bears are out of the running just off of Davante Adams going to look at those situations like, what? Nah, man, what? And then another reason I feel like we're more than likely not going to get him, though, even after, eliminating those teams, even though it would be nice, it would be really nice, but I don't think we will ultimately end up getting him, even though he would clearly make our receiving core better. But there is an element of don't fix was not broken here type of thing. Like, these receivers are currently, they may not be a top 10 receiving core in the NFL, but they are the receiving core of the best offense in the NFL right now, at least statistically. And this receiving core, say what you want about them, play a large role in this NFL's best offense that's going on right now. And would Davante want to come in and would he potentially end up messing up that mojo and chemistry that we have going on right now? Will he start to complain and whine when he's not getting the ball? We were just complaining as an entire fan base about Terry McLaurin not getting the ball enough, and then he finally starts getting the ball enough the past 2 games, and then we want to add a heavily targeted receiver in the mix to make it so Terry McLaurin gets the ball even less again. Now, of course, adding Davante would make us better on paper easily without question, but again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, maybe? I don't know, but it is intriguing. Just hearing about potentially getting an elite wide receiver definitely has me excited. As the fan in me wants to, but the analyst in me is making me go a little bit of back and forth. Because also at the end of the day, I'm not sure how pressed Adam Peters is to even try and turn us into a Super Bowl contender right now, this year. If you go and make the trade for Davante Adams, you're saying that we want to win right now, and that would contradict a few of the moves that he's made so far since we hired him. Are you willing to mortgage the future for the right now? Do you believe in this 2024 Commanders that much to where you're willing to mortgage a little bit of the resources to take away some of the resources that you could have at your expense for the 2025, 2026, 2027 Washington Commanders? Now, we were confirmed to be in the Brandon Ayuk sweepstakes by multiple trustworthy sources, but then we backed out early because, first of all, the drama, but also the asking price was just too high for him. We were just like, oh, that's what y'all want for real? Nah, we're good. If it's not some type of I used to be y'all assistant GM just last year type of discount, we're not going for it. And so is he willing to pay more for Davante Adams than he was willing to pay for Brandon Ayuk? At the end of the day, though, if you feel like we are in a Super Bowl window, you do need to do what you need to do and dive in head first at every opportunity possible to make it happen. Just like how the Rams, even though I don't think we will be in the same situation because a lot of our talent is young talent right now, but just like how the Rams sold out for that Super Bowl and then now they've struggled a little bit and they're trying to climb their way back up, but it's still worth it. They won a Super Bowl within the past couple of years when we haven't won one since before I was born. But I'm just not sure if Adam Peters views us in that way to start making us super buyers leading up to the trade deadline. I thought before the season started, we would definitely be super sellers. We're about to have a garage sale leading up to the trade deadline. And then a couple of weeks in, I'm like, wait a minute. Jayden Daniels is showing us something. Cliff Kingsbury is showing us something. Maybe we'll just sit in our hands. Maybe we'll be a little bit of mix of buyers and sellers. Now, I don't know. Maybe we will be sellers, but I'm not sure if we're to the point where Adam Peters will mortgage the future to just completely sell out and be sellers for this trade deadline and try to win it all this year. But we do have a good chance of winning this division. We are leading the division right now. Do you want to go ahead and make your team better? We're going to talk about that because even Louis Riddick had a point about us winning the division. But we do have some extra picks laying around. No, I'm not gonna lie. Not extra seconds like the Bears and the Bills, but we do have some extra thirds. If you're looking at all of our draft picks right now, we have our own first rounder, our own second, our own third, but we also have that third from Philly because of that Jahan Dotson trade. We have our own fourth. We don't have our fifth because that was part of the Jahan Dotson trade, but we do have our own seventh. We have 3 sevens, which would not be involved in that trade. Like, I don't think we're even discussing picks beyond round 4 in a Davante Adams trade, but we do have 3 sevens because 2 of them come from Philly. I think even I think that 3rd round pick we got from Philly is the Miami Dolphins, so the more they lose, the higher that goes as well. So we not only have 2 3rd round picks, but one of them may end up being good if Tua is hurt, or maybe he retires, because honestly, I think he probably should. Not even being biased, I just think this situation is so scary. I thought the last time we were thinking about him retiring. Now I feel like for sure, like, you gotta leave that alone, man. You gotta be able to enjoy your family and kids and stuff as you get older. Like, it's not worth it, dog. You already got some really good money up out of it. I think you may need a dip. But either way, if Tua does not come back, or even if he does come back, he's not the same, or he ends up getting hurt again or whatever, knock on wood, I'm not trying to put that on him. Either way, that Dolphins 3rd round pick is looking pretty nice, and I know we may not have another second, but that 3rd round pick may be pretty high because the Dolphins do not look good right now. And then on top of all of the draft capital that we have, the extra draft capital that we have, we also have the 6th most cap space in the NFL with 26 million, just a little over 26 million. And just to compare to the other teams that are potentially in the sweepstakes right now, the Jets are 10th with 17 million. So we have over 9 more million than they have. If you want to go all the way down to, say, the Bills, they're 29th with only $3.8 million in cap space. Who else are we competing against? Even the Bears, 24th with only almost $7 million in cap space. So we have nearly $20 more million in cap space than the Bears, and even more than that than the Bills. So I don't know, man. We look like the prime situation for Davante Adams to land in, because he has to be looking at this team like, hey, man, that team is actually going some places, man. That boy Jayden Daniels is nice right now, man. So maybe there is something to that. Now, even outside of me, how does the internet feel about this? How does the national media feel about Davante Adams to the Commanders? Well, Louis Riddick just straight up tweeted, Tay plus Jayden equals NFC East champs. You can just go ahead and book it. And I'm not going to lie, that may just make us NFC champs. Like, that may actually, I mean, I'm not saying that we're Davante Adams away from going to the Super Bowl, because even though the defense is improving, it's not perfect yet. But then again, if you have the NFL's most unstoppable offense, and then you add Davante Adams to that without having to give up any of the pieces in your offense, we may be cooking with fish grease. Then you even have Ian Hartitz, I hope that's how you pronounce his name, one of the more famous people that always tweets about football stats and things like that. He said the most scary for the NFL, landing spot wise, Chiefs. Next most scary for the NFL, Bills. Fun, Cowboys, realistic Steelers, nostalgic Jets because of Aaron Rodgers. And then he said low-key fire, Commanders. And then he said terrible, Patriots, and then even worse than that, Browns. And then he also has some other teams in between, but basically ranked as far as like the best opportunities. Like, I think he feels like the Chiefs, Bills, and then probably the Commanders are third as far as like the best landing spots for him to where he can ball out and the team can be really fun to watch and have success. Then you even have Patrick Morgan, who I believe he's the host of the Talking Buffalo. So he's straight up Buffalo Bills fan, media member, all of that type of stuff. He power ranked where Davante Adams is going to end up, while admittingly having no idea who can afford him, but feeling confident that Buffalo can't. So he even took the Buffalo Bills out of the way because they are really low on cap space. He has the Jets 1, Commanders 2, then the Colts, then the Cardinals. And then even a random Ravens fan tweeted, the Commanders are my pick to land Davante Adams. Don't have to pay their quarterback for a while. Great point. Jayden Daniels, rookie contract, playing like a top 2 quarterback in the NFL right now. And we have $25 million in cap space. Great job pointing that out. Now, shouts out to the 33rd team because they have a trade pitch. As you look on the screen right now, they say the Washington Commanders received Davante Adams, and all we got to give up for him is a 2nd and a 3rd round pick. And after that, we still have one of our 3rd round picks. Either it's the one that we got from the Eagles, really it's the Dolphins pick via the Eagles, or we get to keep our own. So either way, we'll still have at least one 3rd round pick, and we have to give up our only 2nd round pick. Is that worth it for a top 5 receiver in the NFL? I don't know, man. There's an argument to be had that may be worth it. And also, going to the U Stadium report, not only did they say that the Jets and Commanders are expected to be involved, but when you actually go to the real source, he said that both Adam Peters and the Raiders may want to move quickly. He said both sides want to potentially get a deal done as quickly as possible, and there are multiple teams expected to show interest, but he said that Davante Adams and the Raiders probably want to go ahead and get this thing going. And the Commanders will probably be one of the teams that are most aggressive about getting it going as quickly as possible as well. So we may be a match made in heaven, but we'll see. And I don't know if this news has any real validity to it at all. Like, I don't know if this source is reliable or not. I really don't know about at U Stadium. I mean, of course they have the check mark, but you could just buy that. They're based out of New York. They have 58,000 followers, so you don't even have to go check. I just let you know. I don't know if this is a credible source, but I thought this was pretty interesting. But one thing I do know, I know at least you need to make that call to see what's up. At the very least, I know there's a lot of reasons to not trade for him, like I already gave you, but it's malpractice to not even make the call, dog. Like, for real, for real. I mean, and then, hey, man, Davante Adams just went on K. Adams' show, Up and Adams, just literally on September 24th and showed a lot of love to Terry McLaurin for making that catch over the Bengals after that Monday night game. He just showed a lot of love to Terry McLaurin, maybe his future teammate. And also, I don't know, is that enough to make up for how he was talking about the entire city of DC before the season started? Is that enough if he just comes out and apologizes and say, man, I was just disgruntled. It's the way y'all fans make me upset. Like, that's my bad. That's on me. But that just came from the fan base and how upset y'all get me and things like that. And I just showed a lot of love to Terry McLaurin. I clearly also love Jayden Daniels. Is that enough for you to forgive him, for him to come over here and ball out for you? I don't know. But now, my very, very final thought on all of this, at the end of the day, Adam Peters has not missed, dog. Just take a walk with me real quick. Because just even think about the fact that we hired Bobby Johnson from the Giants to be our O-line's coach and how much people doubted that severely. Like, that was the one potential stain on the entire offseason that we had. And me included, I doubted it. But I've always been since even before we hired Adam Peters, I was like, man, if we could somehow get Adam Peters, I promise as a fan and an analyst to give him the benefit of the doubt until further notice. So even with that, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but I definitely looked at it with a side eye like, I don't know. Bobby Johnson, O-line's coach from the Giants, you're going to bring him here and then going to get a backup Chiefs guard to start for you at left guard, who's only played in a couple of games due to the injury of their actual starting left guard, and then waiting until the third round to get a left tackle in a class that was not very deep at tackle. And Jayden Daniels, you just took a franchise quarterback in the first round. You don't have a franchise left tackle. You wait till the third round to go get one. And then somehow your offensive line is playing at a top 5 level, especially these last 2 weeks. And we are only 4 weeks into a season with a new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, left tackle, left guard, and center. I mean, at that point, once I really sat back and thought about that situation and how that turned out, I'm never questioning Adam Peters again. I mean, again, I already was giving him the biggest benefit of the doubt with every decision that he's made since we hired him back in February. But now I'm just like a blind faith believer, and no matter what he decides to do with anything. So my point is, if Adam Peters trades for Davante Adams, I'm assuming that was the genius move. That was the right move to make. If he doesn't trade for him, I'm assuming that's the genius move. That was the right move to not make. So at the end of the day, man, and Adam Peters, I trust, dog. I'm riding with him, whichever way he decides to go with this. But I'm not gonna lie, it would be exciting and fun to go and trade for Davante Adams, but fun doesn't always equal winning. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything I discussed in this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Please make sure you stiff arm that like button on the way out. And of course, for this video, even more than all of the other ones I ask y'all to do this, please let me know in the comment section how you feel about this whole Davante Adams situation. Do you want the Commanders to go and trade for him or not. Why and why not? Why or why not? Whichever way you feel, please let me know exactly why you feel that way. Please let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my points. Call me out if I said anything incorrectly, any misinformation I spread. Please call me out on anything. I want this comment section to be on fire, and I'm gonna try my best to read and reply to as many comments as possible. And of course, make sure you do not leave this video without leaving a like. I really appreciate y'all. I will be in those comments. Catch y'all later. I'm out.